Good morning. All righty. Okay. Not so bad. Doesn't look so bad. Seems like nobody really cares too much. We'll see what happens. But we saw Goldman Sachs getting smashed, talking about fixed income and whatever they just said. There you have it. You can see where it's at here. Gapping down, closing the void. Bad sign. The market was doing that. It would be a bit more of a concern, but it's not. But you know, Goldman Sachs coming out, other financials going to report earnings, and we'll see what the others do. Uh, JPM, that's tomorrow. See what they're doing if they're going down in sympathy. Yep. Well, gapping down under 3 bars lows. That's not a good sign, but we'll see where these end the day. All right. So markets are down. It's really not a big deal. Um, you know, you all heard the news, I'm sure. And day by day, we'll see where it's at. So there's the futures, the S&Ps, and they were lower. They come down into the middle of the wide range bar range. Buyer stepped in. It's on support. You always look to the left. So buyers stepped up, buying the dip, just going sideways, and it's doing what it should do. Meaning, the news being the news, whatever's going on, it's certainly something terrible could happen and it can get worse. But based on this move off of the low, this is constructive. It's better than it would have been gapping up today and maybe continue to go higher and just not giving any kind of a setup. Gapping down like this, and then we'll have to see where the day closes, of course. Even if it's lower, it's not a big deal in the context of what came off of the low. So, like in anything else, we look at the half numbers in an index like this, um, half numbers, whole numbers. So it's just chopping back and forth. Daily chart perspective, nothing to do. And that video that I dropped before, if you didn't see, we went over the different markets over the weekend. And it's the same story. Whatever moved or didn't move, what showed relative strength and weakness, there just aren't actionable patterns. And what was potentially actionable, some kind of consolidation, the gap down now, today throws a wrench in that. But, of course, we always got to go through individual markets and stocks and so on to see how they're acting, relative strength and weakness. And one of the things showing a little bit of relative strength is what got clobbered here. Maybe it's a little, extended, but you can see it's a terrible looking chart, of course. This was on the Anthropic news. And then institutions dumped the software stocks again. And so this bottoming pattern, it's failed. And if you look to the left, you look on the weekly chart, you know, next support is not that far off. But one of the things that I'll be looking for anyway, I'll just send an alert, I don't have to watch it, is to see if it retraces this. Because if it does that, while it's still in a downtrend, it'll be a shakeout. And that's positive price action for bottoming. To have that kind of a shakeout, which would mean there was an institutional, you know, hissy fit based on the news. And then, after doing some meditation and deep breathing, they said, whatever, buy them. And some look worse than others, of course. Some look terrible. But, Microsoft, on that video I covered, look, that showed relative strength. And look what it's doing this morning. It's still not an attractive pattern, on the daily chart, but it didn't go down like the index did. And it didn't go down like some of the others did that really got, hit. I mean, 3 bars straight down. And this is gapping up a little bit. I'll be watching these maybe for little day trade action to see if they'll move up or the index. Oh, they're down a whole bunch. in a short amount of time, and we'll see how far do they retrace. Do we get a green bar? Do we get a little narrow range bar, meaning it gapped up and just couldn't go anywhere? So that'll tell the story as to what it's going to do as far as the reaction as that goes. Of course, financials are down. I want to look at the regional banks if they're reacting. Where's my? I should put these in alphabetical order. Here we go, right above there. Yeah, so that's gapping down to the bottom of the wide range bar. So correcting those gains, normal so far. This is holding up. Oh, I don't want materials. I want home builders to see how they're doing. Put it in my list. That's the one. Because it's bottoming. I want to see how much it's moving up or down. So not too much action there, but holding up relatively well. So that's a good sign for a bottoming type of a pattern. It's been beaten down already is not going down that much. What's beaten down severely in a short amount of time, a few days, the software, they're actually up a little bit. And let's look at what's happening in the broader markets. What are bonds doing? They're down a little bit. Interest rates up. So interest rates are up a little bit. Not a big deal. You know? Part of the today's slide was no deal, no worries. So as soon as the announcement came, markets initially didn't do much of anything, and then, as you know, they sold off, and some buyers coming in, and everybody's just waiting. The price action being what it is, no nukes went off, and look, whatever they're going to do, it'll unfold as it happens. Right? Nobody knows for sure unless you're in the White House. All right. So we looked at the S&Ps, no big deal. Let's look at the spiders, see where they're at. They moved up into resistance. There's a void below. One of the comments last week was, this is an igniting gap from a bottom. Of course, it's on news. There's a void below. As it pulls back as it is, it should not fill this gap. It should, wherever it's going to do, you can see where it's at right now. Right? It's not even below the green bar. If this can close like this, continue to go sideways, that begins to build a base. You can see the 65-minute chart. That's on support there. The white area is during the trading day, and the bluish area is overnight. So you've got a little retest area there where it's gapping down to, and there's nothing down below here. There's nothing there because this was overnight and it just shot up. So this is when the trading is there's no support. So it's got to create support. All right. So gapping down there. There's S&Ps. And that's where they were at. Where I came on. They were actually, they came up, the bottom one came up 5 handles a little while ago as things continued to stabilize. And so the put strike dropped, unless I remember, I think it was like at least 100, but the call strike didn't come down that much. So interesting that the call strike didn't come down much from what it was on Friday. And that leads into what the price action is doing, meaning while it's gapping down, it's not a huge gap down. And markets, hedging again. Right. So big premium down below it just in case something happens, but they're not running for the exits. I'm like, okay, let's see what goes on, what happens next. And so, as I said, so far it's not a big deal, gapping down around here, and plenty of room to drop if that's in the cards. We'll see what happens. All right. NASDAQ futures. You would think, what news? There was news? Did something happen? It's just a little gap down and it's recovering. Buyers on the dip again. Short-term extended, it's into converging moving averages, it's into a bunch of resistance. And patterns like this typically take a couple of days of absorbing supply. We're going to get that bullish price action, or whether, for whatever reason, right, the unknown, it breaks these lows right here and it goes lower. So we'll see what happens. All right. See what the Russell is doing. Again, no big deal. It went down a little bit of that under that support and it's recovering 50 MA. And let's look at the ETF. Look at the gap. And so gapping in the middle of the range. Same story. No big deal. No worries. But we worry every day, right? Meaning, what's going to happen? Well, we just look at the chart and put your worries in the context of the chart. And so here's a little bit more of a significant gap, right? The diamonds gapping below those lows. So something, Goldman Sachs, right, is gapping down quite a bit. And we'll take a look at what others, not now, but I'll take a look at what others are gapping or if anything's gapping up. So gapping onto a little bit of support there. Same story. There's a void below, and we will see what it does. All right. Bitcoin, as you can see, is down, still within a trading range, and a little bottoming action there on the weekly time frame. Yeah, I saw a chart on X. Somebody showed, I was like this, with connecting their dots in a channel showing, oh, this is stopping right where it should, supposed to stop, like it's going to go down. Maybe it's going to go down, but this idea of connecting dots and projecting lines into the future as resistance, rather than just looking over to the left and say, hey, there's a pivot there. There's a reaction to it. Can't talk now. All right. Okay. Crude oil's up. Not a big deal. Still in an uptrend. It came down real hard, gapping up a little bit. And so, yeah, we'll look at the rest. There's really not much here of significance going on. There's silver and just chopping back and forth. Gold. That's not gold, that's copper. But that's not doing anything either. And there's gold. Dip getting bought, coming back off of the low, sideways. How many things can we look at? Gold coming up a little bit. The dollar was up a little on the news. Everything kind of moving in unison. That's supposed to intermarket wise. You see euro, they're buying the dip there, so the dollar coming over a little bit. And yeah, what'll be interesting. Everything's interesting, but Trump's comments, of course, are always interesting, entertaining, and now all of these ships are turning around to come to the Gulf of America to get filled up with oil. Is it true? We're going to be selling all that oil? I mean, we shall see. All this claim that there's all this oil that this country has, it enough to sell to everybody? I don't know. Time will tell. All right. Semiconductors, which had a monster breakdown failure reversal. We had talked about that, the breakdown, the recovery, the move to new all-time highs. So there's another piece of information besides everything else that's going on, that at this point, markets, institutions, whoever is just saying, you know what, this war thing, at this point, yeah, it was a lot of noise, but it's over. And now this move has to be digested to a point where most say, okay, it's pulled back enough, or it hasn't pulled back that much, so I better buy because it's showing strength and it's not going to go down. And Friday's theme was don't do the fear of missing out trade. And so we never want to do that. So as things pull in a little bit, come down a little bit, chop around bar by bar, build a little base. We'll see where we go from there. Other than that, I mean, I didn't see anything other than Goldman Sachs, things that were gapping really, really significantly. So we'll see how it unfolds. Mm. The call strike seemed close. It was close because it didn't come down that much. So from where things are at. So that down here is the no-brainer. Even if the market sells off at the open, any strike below 6,700 should be fine. And so, between 6,700 and 6,750, while there's no support there, you've got these higher open interest levels that'll come into play, and it is an options expiration week. So as I had said in that video and in the letter over the weekend, option expiration weeks tend to be choppy, and while they whip back and forth, they may have a moment of a hissy fit or a rally. They're going to get dragged back. So take over, Dan.
Morning. Last night, when I looked at the ES after 6 p.m., I saw they were down 70. No, 80. It started down 69, then it went down to 79. So they've cut it in half, the gap down. And I thought we'd gap down, but I didn't think it was going to be a disaster because I don't know, Trump, Taco, they're still talking. Um, oh yeah, just noise. Greg looked at everything. All right, Trump here. Did short yes on Friday's low. Looks good. I can't tell where it's opening. Yeah, as Greg said, there's only 3 earnings here. Place. Wow, that used to be a high flyer. Children's, look at that, $55. Now gapping down to 3, but no pattern. Goldman bounced $15 off this pre-market low. So 880 is right there. Obviously, I would have preferred. Wow, look at the 865 was right there at that gap fill. Look at that. That would have been perfect to do well, today's Monday, so 4 DTE. I don't remember the last time Goldman reported on a Monday. I thought they were always Wednesday or Thursday. I thought I'll watch him fast, no pattern, slopping around. Home Depot here. We're gonna put spread. It's the only open in the weekly. Gapping down a little. If it does recover and take out Friday's high, I like it directional. It's going through some alarms here. BLD. We bought that on Friday, half lot. Tylenol, we've been short for a while. My alarm went off. I don't see any prints. Builder, another bottoming pattern. Charlie Papa. There's a lot of continuation patterns that look like this. That they gapped up, going sideways with a void. But I got a trade over my up alarm went off, but now it's slammed back down. So Zulu is weak. That's a short watch. Maybe 30-minute low. It's down 3 bars on support, so I'd wait 30 minutes. pole alarm, up alarm here went off, bottoming patterns, a lot of housing stocks. In fact, this are only open in the ETF is ITB. Bottoming pattern, gapped up, going sideways. You can add over last week's high. Halliburton, these are all alarms. I scanned the OIH, all the drillers. Now, if this did not have these four sideways bars, if it instead were just fluid down, then this is a beautiful 3-bar turn. So I didn't put it in the letter, didn't have enough premium for puts, but I had an alarm up here at 38.10. So we'll see, maybe 30-minute high. And then Moss, another bottoming pattern, Moscow. So this is in the housing sector. Let's see, I forget if I gave this one official. I did not. So this could be a good 30-minute high. I will put that in the window. That's good. This car we were watching all last week. This is a great missile Climo 30-minute low call spread, but the problem is the spreads have been very wide. And that's it on alarms. Let's just go through my watch list here. Just glancing at things. Microsoft filled the gap. No pattern, but well, today's Monday, so it does have 0 DTEs. Remember, a number of these have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So this could be a 0 DTE. Let's give it maybe 10-minute high. If there's anything at 365 or 367.50. Apple, bottoming pattern, but sloppy. Amazon, no pattern. Google, up and down. Over Friday's high would be one of those continuation patterns. Meta's too close to resistance. Netflix last week was showing relative strength. Earnings of 6. Yeah, I was going to put this in the weekly, but earnings are this week. That's the strongest FANG. Look at that. This was only new. I forget the news, but I know they jacked up their prices, which the market liked. And look at that weekly. That's a beautiful buy setup. And Tesla, no pattern. Dog. All right, back to my watch list here. Pins, we have it under Friday's low to buy puts. This I'm watching, see if it can sell off a little bit more. And then I'd love to do a put spread down there around the 200. VF.A. It is a 1, 2, 3, but I want it to go sideways more at resistance. CMS is a 1, 2, 3, looks good. Coke 1, 2, 3. PG sloppier 1, 2, 3 because it's a deep retracement, but if that trades over the highs, looks like they can go to the 200. Good. That's a nice 1, 2, 3. A lot of 1, 2, 3s, a lot of bottoming patterns, a lot of continuation patterns. Bravo X-ray bottoming pattern. And that's been moving. There's that Halliburton. It's been moving with the private credit stuff. There's 10 technically not a 1-2-3 because Thursday wasn't an inside bar, but nice pullback into a WRB. This is why I was scanning the oils, I scanned OIH sector. See, this has been the strongest of the four ETFs. Current, yeah, Akamai, that's what I just see. Charlie Papa. We looked at that already. I said take out the highs. JP Morgan. Wow, look how that thing bounced exactly with Goldman. Crazy. Sherwin, continuing. There's a ton of these patterns. Gapped up, going sideways with a void. So I got an alarm up here somewhere. There's another one, ACA. Alex gave me a bunch of these. And there's a 1-2-3 continuation. I have alarms on all these. CAG actually a short. ETHA, but gapping down. Continuation. Continuation. That's actually a breakdown. I got an alarm at 78, whatever. Bottoming pattern, GPK, I got an alarm at 990. Hexel continuation, I got an alarm 8430. IFF has to take out that red bar, but then it'd be a red bar ignored a breakout. IT it's down 5 bars though, but that's still a short watch. Daily, weekly, monthly, or all week. OI bottoming pattern. I got an alarm at 1090. Resi 1-2-3. So I got a ton of alarms. ROP. It's down 3 bars. Need a continuation. Trup. I like Friday's low and a short. WFC. I like continuation. I have an alarm at 1840. Whiskey Yankee has to get above those highs, then it'll be a continuation. Z Zulu short watch I mentioned, CWT 1-2. Let's see, that's a better 1-2-3 than the one that I said. Shoot, I forgot the one that I said I want it to go sideways a couple more bars. Did I get this one? I forget. CWT. I did not. I don't know why, but that looks good. CWT, I must set an alarm 4718. That would be a good 30-minute high if the market's holding. Market, nice rebound off pre-market lows. Very nice. Q's spiders rallied $3 each. All right, 929, I'm doing. And perfect timing, I finished. Well, no, I didn't finish. I got a bigger watch list up here. A bunch of things in the housing sector, like I see Toll here, Toll, KBH. Well, that's all right, I got alarms, so if the alarms go off, we'll take a look. CAG. CAG, you just short 5-minute low. I guess I personally don't like trading the first 5 minutes on any day, but particularly Monday. But that's a short. It's a breakdown. Bearish daily, weekly, relative weakness. Didn't bounce with the market, pre-market pop. Yeah, Greg, I mentioned your spider call spread seemed close. I typed it. I don't know if you answered me, but I don't know, just seem a lot tighter than the put side.
You said it was close.
Right, too close.
I did answer you. I said it is what it is. That's, I did say it was close. I answered.
Oh, but we,
It didn't move down that much from what it was Friday, but the put side moved a lot. So, and I said that is saying that buyers still have confidence. It's not like the call strike dropped a huge amount.
but the point I'm making is we should not be posting on social media those levels at extremes if we don't trust them.
Well, I'm just posting what the extreme is for the day. People have to make their own decisions. None of those, you could do them as no brainers because 99% of the time they never get to either one. And considering it's an options expiration, it's probably not going to get to that one either. But nobody knows for sure.
It was just a comment, if you pull up the last 100 that you've done, I've never seen one that close to the spot price, that's all.
Right. So, you gotta make a choice what to do. So, do the put side. That's the no-brainer one, which is what I mentioned.
Again, I'm just talking about communication to social media, who doesn't get the benefit of the commentary?
Look, if somebody wants uh more involved commentary, come into the green room.
All right, Tylenol, we're short. Uh, the stop was $2 higher, but I had an early alarm go off. Look at Goldman, bottom right, still weak. Yeah, CAG, I said 5-minute low, but now it's kind of a big bar. That's a big five. Oh, it's a 15-minute bar. ACA. Hey, there you go. That'd be a good 30-minute high. ACA. Let me set my alarm a little higher. Set it at 113. Okay, R alarm, early alarm. Nothing to do yet. I don't know. We already got our stuff. All right, that's it on alarms. Very slow. Zulu. Toll House Cook.